This is for the filmmakers. The most important thing they have failed to do since the first movie. I don't know how you fail at this. It's too obvious, okay? It's just too obvious. Unless you're not a fan of the show and specifically don't like the show, neither the first Megan, and this is a spoiler I don't care to spoil, neither the first Megan or Megan 2.0 has. Aloha, movie nerds, dorks, and weirdos. Welcome back to another New Movie Tuesdays. I'm Matt Salanoa, and I just came back from seeing Megan 2.0. Okay, so spoiler free thoughts up front. I thought it was entertaining overall, but not as good as the first one. I think this movie, it's just my fresh reaction. I think they kind of changed the genre. This movie's more of an action genre, which is fine, but the way they kind of pulled it off was a bit awkward. I really felt like it was too much action, not enough of the horror that we enjoyed from the first movie. I think the first movie was such a great sort of Terminator precursor slash kind of twist, a gentle twist on the Terminator story where the robot designed to be for kids ultimately ends up killing kids, adults, and everything else in between. And which, it, not that that was somehow like a groundbreaking movie, but it had it had something to say. It had its own thing going on. The first movie was really about loss and family and how does it look like when you're in an unconventional family, like the situation of Allison Williams playing, this aunt, now sort of in the predicament of being a parent, or in this case, technically a guardian of her now orphaned uh, niece, played by the excellent Violet McGraw, Katie, who plays Katie, and she designs this robot Megan to essentially help her with the whole parenting process and give her niece a friend to have. And I thought, forgive me for my sweats and for the sound you hear. It is hot as hell in Southern California. We are in the 90s, and I am not the 90s I remember, but the 90s I'm living in right now, which is sweat inducing to say the least. So I need these fans or I will straight up die. So yeah, so Megan 1 was such an interesting twist on the Terminator concept, and kind of going back to the more horror roots where the franchise has completely dived into action nonsense. And in the case of Megan 2, I think kind of jumped the shark in this movie, like right from the first few minutes. This movie is, instead of going into the Terminator franchise, they went more like Mission Impossible. I would say this feels like Megan, but she's in a Mission Impossible movie, or Mission Impossible with robots. I I see what they were going for, but I couldn't help but just distinctly feel like they wanted to make a Mission Impossible movie. They could not make a Mission Impossible movie, and they said, "Screw it, we're gonna make Megan a Mission Impossible movie," because there's so much action, but it's not really enough in a weird way. But even the way the action's delivered, and there's so much plotting, because now we have the new military grade threat of Amelia, made from the Megan original program and design, but now evolved to look more human, to infiltrate, to do spy missions for people. And you know what I mean? It's just right up front, because it goes for this Mission Impossible action by trying to subvert the genre right from the bat. I just felt like, this doesn't quite work for me. And the build up to bringing Megan back is sort of, there's not really a build up. It's just happening. And that's what a lot of this movie feels like. It just feels like a lot of stuff is just happening because we want to make a Mission Impossible movie under the umbrella of Megan. That's what it feels like. I'm not trying to speak for the filmmakers, but that's how the movie comes off. It's just from the get go. It feels, yeah, like a low budget. I mean, great cinematography, production design. Like, there's nothing on the crew member side that's failing, except I'd say the writing and directing. I think they should have approached this differently. I think I have a completely different idea for how this movie should have been, and I still would prefer that idea over what they did. Because although I had a good time, I'm not saying people shouldn't see it, but for the few laughs that are in there, there's some good laughs, and there's some good setups and payoffs. I do like the evolution of Violet McGraw's Katie. She evolves in an interesting way, although I don't think they utilize all of her evolution. It's just sort of some parts of it are left either to the cutting room floor or they're just not, or whatever reason. Yeah, we get part of her evolution, but not the entire bit of it. And I think Allison Williams, I don't think they take advantage of what she's really capable of doing. So many of her scenes are very one note, where she's basically saying the same dialogue over and over and over again, and in the same tone. And I don't blame her. I think this was the story they were going for, and this was the approach, and maybe they just didn't have a lot of time to make it, and I can feel that. But nonetheless, I just felt like, yeah, we had a few Megan 1 callbacks, but they weren't outrageous. There wasn't anything that really made these callback moments earned, or at the very least, if you're going to bring back that moment, can you do something different with it, or up the ante on that moment the way it worked in the first movie. I think the best part of Megan 2, unfortunately, is Amelia and the trailer for Megan, the very first trailer, where all we see is smoke and lights and the silhouette of Megan entering and dancing. And I feel like you cannot do that teaser trailer. You can't do that teaser trailer and not at least have a similar moment in the movie, because that teaser trailer, we know that dance move. That dance move is from the first movie, where she starts dancing like that and then immediately goes on a killing rampage with a slicer. And that trailer moment is not anywhere in this movie. I didn't bother watching any other trailers because I was just like, I'm gonna see it. I don't even need it. I'm gonna see this movie. I enjoyed the first one enough. I'll just go see it. I'll go into it blind because, come on, how much different could you be? And you actually went really very different. You went, if I had known this was going to be a Mission Impossible movie, maybe I would have enjoyed it more. But that's what I'm telling you guys. As it's Megan 2, but it's a Mission Impossible movie for some reason, and that wasn't necessary. I didn't think we needed to go there. But the action that was Mission Impossible was fun, and some of the fight choreography was cool. There were some parts where I thought there would be an action scene, and then there wasn't, and I was like, kind of wish you were talking with your fists in this scene and not with your mouths, because that's what you promised with this whole Amelia storyline. So, yeah, and I didn't think there was enough different about Amelia to make the fight with Megan more engaging. You know, when it comes to how much this is so similar to the Terminator franchise. And there's even a year reference to 1984, which is when the first Terminator came out. There's a reference to 1984 for something I can't spoil, but it's, I know that they're doing it because that's because of Terminator. But you know, if you're gonna be aping on the Terminator franchise, then there's still got to be something interesting about Amelia, other than, okay, she looks more human, but that's technology that already exists in the real world, you know. So it's what's what's the next step? And they there's a couple gadgets Amelia can do that Megan can't do, but they're not utilized with Megan or in a fight in an interesting way. These are things that happen for gags, and then they don't come back. So I think that's something where this movie, I think both movies could have done something to be a little bit more fresh and more original. But I think in the case of Megan 2, I think both movies fail at the end. I think the first movie, yes, they ended it in a personal way and they paid off a really big, obvious setup. And in this movie, they do the same thing again. There's a big, obvious setup for where things are going to go. And they kind of copy Upgrade a little bit. If you haven't seen the movie Upgrade, which is directed by, dang, I'm forgetting his name, Leigh Whannell, who is the original writer of the Saw movies, and he was also in the first Saw. He directed Invisible Man. He's a very talented director. Upgrade is a movie where a man is paralyzed and gets an AI device attached to the back of his spine, which allows him to walk again. And unfortunately, it's a kind of situation where he literally depends on the AI in order to control the functions of his body. But at the same time, he's out for revenge because part of how he became paralyzed was this attack on him and his wife, where his wife was killed. So it's a very well motivated and surprisingly an action movie, but it skates perfectly the line of action and horror, where what he's capable of with the AI ends up being more than he bargained for or asked for. And it's that real question of like, how far should I be going with this? And I don't want to spoil the movie beyond that. I think the real Megan 2 is the movie Upgrade. I think if you want to get, there's a particular part of this movie that seriously steals from Upgrade. And if you want to get that joke, I highly recommend, before you see Megan 2, Upgrade is available on Netflix right now. Go check out Upgrade, and then see Megan 2, whether you choose to watch it on in theaters or not. I don't think this movie requires the theater watch. If I really think a movie is worth it, I try to get my review out as soon as possible. But at the same time, I am trying to have consistent videos every week. So that's why last week was, or 2 weeks ago was Straw instead of 28 years later, because I'm like, well, I want to get this out, and I want to make sure I take the time and get my 28 years later review done. So I want to take my time and get that review cut properly. Anyway, I'm not rushing this review out. By the time this review comes out, Megan will have been out for at least a week and a half or 2 weeks. I'm not rushing it out because I just feel like, look, I think in the case of 28 years later, everyone in the world already saw it, so I'm behind anyway. But in the case of this movie, I don't think you have to see it in theaters. I'm sorry. I want to say you do. I think there's a few scenes in this movie that deserve it visually. I think they do some really great lighting schemes. I think the cinematographer and production designer together, this is probably some fantastic teamwork on their part. But on the other hand, I don't think there's anything in this movie. If you just have Mission Impossible in your head and Megan in your head, and you think that does not necessarily sound like two things that mesh very well, well, that was my experience with this movie. I had a good time, but I'm not saying go out and rush to the theater to see it. And also, again, I'm sweating. Sorry. Another thing, and this is for the filmmakers. The most important thing they have failed to do since the first movie. I don't know how you fail at this. It's too obvious, okay? It's just too obvious. Unless you're not a fan of the show and specifically don't like the show, or the particular actor I'm about to say is not available. Neither the first Megan, and this is a spoiler I don't care to spoil, neither the first Megan or Megan 2.0 has Megan from Key and Peele. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? It's an easy joke. Megan, you forgot your jacket. No! I mean, come on. There's not enough Megan and Megan. There's not enough Megan and Megan. It's one of the best gags from Key and Peele, and your main character's name is Megan. How? How do you drop the ball? Twice! Give Jordan Peele some money. Give Keegan Michael Key some money. I'm sure they won't be greedy. Just give them some cash. Say, hey, we need you in this movie. Megan just needs to cross paths with Megan. Megan, you forgot your jacket. I'm not telling you how to do it, but you got to get them in there. You can't have Megan and not utilize the best Megan there is, Megan, and not have that in the movie, or even just like a clip. Megan, you forgot your jacket. Come on. There's a joke in there. There's a joke somewhere in there. You're not taking advantage of it. What's wrong with you? Megan 3, don't fuck up. Don't fuck up. Megan 3, you get Jordan Peele in that movie. I don't care if it's a clip from the show. Megan, you forgot your jacket. Come on. Come on. I know nobody cares. I think that's a valid complaint, though. I think as a fan of Key and Peele, Megan, you forgot your jacket, and the name of your movie is Megan. I'm just like, come on, what's the problem here? Come on, just take advantage of the joke, put it in there somewhere. You know what I mean? It could just be a clip, and then Megan says this to somebody who's running away from her. Ronnie Chang, you forgot your jacket. I have your jacket here. And I have a machete. You know what I mean? Something. Okay, so yeah, those are my spoiler-free thoughts. I really wasn't for this whole Mission Impossible style. Not that I wouldn't watch the movie again. I did think it was entertaining. I think there's some good jokes. But this movie is squished up against 28 Years Later and How to Train Your Dragon and a couple other big movies that looked like really fun kids movies. I think the mistake they made, on top of making this 10 minutes too long, was making it PG-13. I mean, go hard R. Go harder R than your previous movie. And really make it about Megan versus Amelia. There just really wasn't enough of it. And there wasn't enough of how Amelia is different, other than looking more human. That's the only spoiler that matters to give you. There just wasn't, I just felt like not enough actual combat or genuine conflict. That's not something we haven't seen before. So I just feel like, you don't need to rush to see this in theaters, which I hate to say, because I want every filmmaker to get their movies in theaters. I think the theaters is the right way to see everything. That's the way I chose to see it. But ultimately, I would say, screw what I think. If you want to see this movie, then go see it in theaters, because you might as well get the fullest experience out of it. And maybe you'll disagree with me. Maybe you'll think it's a great movie and you love the angle. You know what I mean? So that's just my 2 cents on the movie overall. I didn't want Mission Impossible, but ironically, those were some of the most fun scenes in the movie. So, either or. So that's why I can say spoiler free. Wait for the popcorn to pop, and I'm going to get into spoilers. And some complaints and grievances. And some suggestions. Yeah. Popcorn, popcorn, pop. M3gan 2.0 spoilers. If you have not seen the movie, I still recommend you see it first before you watch this, because I'm gonna spoil the movie. I'm gonna complain about the movie, and I'm gonna have my own thoughts about what I feel they should have done. Besides the Megan thing, which, yeah, I mean that's just, I'm just having fun. It's not needed for this movie, but I would still like it. So this movie starts off with this Mission Impossible thing. Amelia is infiltrating a terrorist group, and she's supposed to kidnap someone. Instead, she kills him and steals stuff, and it's all moved so fast and it's cut so quickly. It's not that you can't understand it, but you can't feel anything for it, and it doesn't really. They're trying to be more of a comedy movie this time, which I'm like, I hate that. You know, it didn't work for Blade Trinity, and it's not going to work for you. You don't go from horror action to comedy. It does not work. I understand people enjoyed Terminator 3 because of the action was very impressive in that movie. They didn't drop the ball with the action. But anytime you go from horror, even horror action, to comedy, you are dampening your own franchise. It's okay to have a little sense of humor, but I couldn't tell whether I was watching Megan or Venom 2. You know what I mean? I'm like, the actor they cast, and nothing wrong with the cast. I think the cast was fine. But the actor they cast to play this FBI guy, or whatever he is, who's involved with the Amelia program and is surprised it's not working out, he just reminded me, for some reason, of I forget the actor's name and what I've seen him in, but I know I've seen him in comedies, and he plays a pretty dopey good guy most of the time. I believe he's the actor I'm thinking of is the cop from Bridesmaids. He ends up falling in love with the main actress of that movie. Why I'm forgetting her name too, I'm sorry. I'm the worst right now, but that's just because this is just hitting the top of my head. But anyway, the actor who plays the FBI guy resembles him to me for some reason. And I just feel like they're going for this kind of bizarre comedy approach, this comedy tone. I don't think it's in keeping with the Megan flow, and I realize, again, the first Megan is a twist on Terminator and has its own sense of humor, but that movie was very solid and straightforward, which I think was its strength. And that tone kept Megan imposing and scary. And to start off with this kind of Mission Impossible mission about Amelia being run by this kind of dorky, dopey guy, it just totally takes the steam out of the tension. There's no where to go. And I don't think Amelia really got an introduction that makes you go, oh, that's what this person is. I mean, she could have just as well just been a human being. I thought it was Palm Clementif at first. I was like, hey, you stole Palm for Mission Impossible 7 and 8? What the hell, man? And then I thought it was Elizabeth Olsen. Turns out it was Ivana Saknol. She was excellent. But nonetheless, I just really was like, man, like there's nothing. She might as well have just been a human being who has gone the wrong way, because what they do with her is she just shoots a couple people, and you see what she does through her eyes. I'm like, well, they also do that in Mission Impossible 4, so I don't know what you're doing here. It really felt like an attempt to make Mission Impossible 4 the Megan version. And again, just Amelia herself did not get a strong enough introduction. And when she comes into the story and she just looks so human, I just feel like, I don't know. And then when you have Amelia confronting Megan, when Megan does come back, I felt like it looked like two puppets were talking. It looked like we're having humans mimic puppets, and I kind of felt like, are we watching Team America? Is this Team America now, where we're watching their lips and their lips aren't quite synced with their voices because they are robots? And I just thought their conversation was very typical. We've seen these exact lines of dialogue before, in similar types of movies. I just thought the originality, whatever originality there was from Megan, was completely abandoned in Megan 2.0. Even the twist where Megan, I mean, it's not really a twist. We know at the end of the first Megan that her AI survived in the house AI that ran all of Allison Williams' gadgets. So we knew that she was still technically there. But then this movie has so many like just throwaway pieces of trivia for the characters. How did you get this big house? Who's your landlord? We can't find. And never does Allison Williams acknowledge that. Did you even meet the landlord? You know, there's just unacknowledged space where someone else is asking questions and not getting answers. And because Allison Williams' character never answers those questions, you just, again, it makes you think, is this character stupid or what? Like, or are you, did you know Megan was alive? And then when we confirm Megan, she doesn't know Megan was alive this whole time, it's just like, so then come on, like, don't say you don't know who the landlord is. How did you get this place, you know? Who you did you not meet someone? Did you do this entirely online? Like, there's just such certain avoidances that are like, dude, like, I know it's a movie and you don't really have to care that much, but again, it's just the the lack of basic logic makes the movie feel dumb. My biggest concern is always, are you making the audience ask the wrong questions? That's the most important thing. You don't want to make the audience ask the wrong questions. You want to lead them along. But that means being a leader. You want to lead them along and make them ask the correct questions. Because then if we're asking the wrong questions, when we get answers, now you're just leaving the audience hanging to think, okay, well, that was stupid. You know what I mean? You need to get the audience to ask the right questions. I think it would have been a better move for Gemma, Allison Williams' character, to know Megan was still there and maybe participated in getting this kind of crazy deal or something like that. Or maybe she thought she had made a different AI to help her scoop up a good deal for getting a place. And you know, because just it's never explained. It's like, if you're out of money, well, where'd you get money in the first place? You know, who are your investors? Like, just basic fundamental questions that anyone with just this much amount of intelligence might ask. But instead, you have every character asking questions, all of them asking the same questions, and you know, and now you got the audience wondering, okay, if nobody knows, then this is dumb. Like, this is just dumb. Like, come on, you know. Although, let me admit right here that this image is my favorite thing from the whole movie. The whole movie is but this painting shows up in one scene in the movie, and it was worth showing you in this video. I love this painting. I wish we had a flashback showing Megan making this painting for that underground bunker sequence. The underground bunker. There's a lot I have not brought up in this movie because, yeah, well, if you watch it, you see. It's a lot of stuff happening, but who cares, really? But this freaking painting, I want this. I want the Megan toy, the normal size one. I don't want that creepy life size thing. And I want this painting. This painting has to come with some kind of attachment to go on a wall or a magnet or something. This has to come with the toy for the NECA, because this is the only thing worth the price of admission in this whole movie. How this painting shows up and how good this painting is. So hats off to whoever came up with this painting. Yeah, I get that probably at the time that they were writing this, AI had not made the leaps it's made. We are, at the time this movie is coming out, there are people with talking about how AI can make apps for you, it can make entire movies for you. I mean, AI has leaped in the 2 years or whenever since the first Megan came out. The ability of AI has made massive leaps. So it's understandable that part of this is just the lack of believability because the movie seems to be behind the times. Um, and then even the ending where Amelia gets godlike powers and her eyes glow. I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like you went so hard to make this Mission Impossible style movie, which kind of feels legit and real and gritty, and yet you have an FBI team, and even the tone of fighting the FBI resembles kind of Home Alone and kind of like a silly movie, and then it ends with glowing eyes and electricity shooting everywhere. It just like there's no groundedness or relatability to the movie. It just abandons all of those things, which were the strength that made the first movie work. You know what I mean? So, with that in mind, this has now become a podcast inside of a podcast. Matt Salanoa's Final Cut.
It's podcasting time.
How would I have approached this movie, bro? That's what we're talking about, man. We're getting in the uh, armchair critic mode where I get to talk about how I would do things. Yeah. But seriously, Jesus, man, this movie made no sense. You know, I could be down with a good chunk of this movie. I enjoyed when first of all, I forgot to I should put this in the beginning. Jermaine Clement is in this movie, which is a huge treat as a fan of every time I see Jermaine Clement in a movie. It's amazing. But it's also a part of the weird tone that makes this movie feel uneven because he's so larger than life and a bit of a creep, and his scenes are just ridiculous. So it's one of those things that's funny, yeah, but takes me out of the movie at the same time. It's like I don't know where to fall with this movie because I can't ever be scared because the movie is never going to let me feel anything close to tension or emotion. The movie's always going to give me 5 seconds of fear and then 10 minutes of okay, Austin Powers is on now. That's where I'm feeling with this movie. Jermaine Clement is wonderful, but he has the upgrade gadget. He literally has the spinal thing from Upgrade. We have Allison Williams being auto controlled by Megan, who's now plugged into her head. And she has an upgrade fight. Literally, even the way they shoot the scene when she is technically knocked out, but her body's doing all the fighting. They literally reference or steal. It's just stealing at this point. The fight choreography and camera style of Upgrade when that particular actor and character is fighting people automatically through the controls of the AI, and then even that is not carried to the end. So there's just all these things, and then we also I think the biggest thing the movie doesn't do that it sets up is that it has Katie clearly having some programming skill, and she's trying to write in a subroutine for her whatever program she's making morality as a part of the programming, and that does not come up. It does not come up in the reconstruction of Megan's body. It does not come up with Megan at the end. So yeah, these are my complaints and grievances. I just think the movie does not hold water on any level whatsoever, and it's trying too hard to be too many different things when I wish it had just stayed. You know, this word grounded. I read recently Christopher Nolan described the Dark Knight trilogy as not being real or grounded as much as it's relatable. It's something that anyone feels like they could experience. And I think that's the strength of M3gan. The first M3gan is relatable. It's just got problems that everyone understands. And even though it ends with a robot battle that's was set up so blatantly by having this giant autonomous, not autonomous, but by having this giant remote controlled robot, even though the victory at the end is set up so strongly and then paid off, I felt like this movie, it did those things with this exosuit, but at the same time, I felt like the most important thing was Katie and her programming skills. That should have come back at the end of the movie. And I just didn't care for the God tier stuff. I thought, this is weird. This is just, even when M3gan gets her last line on Amelia, I just thought, this just falls apart, dude. This, and then it's an EMP explosion, so it's not really an explosion, and it's just, oh, great. So a little warp effects hit everybody. Okay, that's cool. And Christian, I mean, obviously an annoying character right from the beginning. Yeah, I didn't care for it. So, with that being in mind, welcome to my podcast, now inside of a podcast, Matt Salanoa's Final Cut, where I say how I think the movie should have been done, because, yeah, wow. I really felt like there was huge missed opportunities with this movie. Huge missed opportunities that should have been done. This movie should have been told in a completely different fashion. Let's talk about the structure of the Terminator, right? The Terminator and Terminator 2 begins with the time travel arrival of Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, the Terminator. M3gan doesn't do that. M3gan is built halfway through the story, right? This movie does the same thing structure-wise. I think that was a mistake. I think it's okay that physically she was built, but she should have appeared earlier. There was a part of the marketing campaign for the first M3gan that, to me, was a mislead, where we saw all these girls in M3gan outfits and the M3gan mask headpiece, where they would be in advertising running around multiple M3gans causing havoc or doing their dance, and it seems like they're up to no good. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, M3gan is going to end with a bunch of M3gans on the production line, and they're going to go kill a bunch of people. So I thought, whoa, that's exciting. And I really feel like that should have been, if not the ending of M3gan 1, it should have been the upfront threat of M3gan 2, which is whoever bought that stolen M3gan information from the first movie, that they should have been putting some M3gans into production and not expecting that these M3gans would immediately start killing people. Get something like that. Or even, beyond that. What I think this movie should have done, what I really felt it should have done based on the storyline that we get, we should have started in a dream. We should have started in a dream where Allison Williams is in a production facility, and maybe she's being cheered, maybe she's being celebrated. Either way, she's with a bunch of people that it seems like she knows and it seems like they like her. But what they're doing is producing a bunch of M3gans on an assembly line, like the Terminator. Go into that Terminator trailer. And if not later in the movie, if you want to put that the teaser trailer image should have been maybe in this dream sequence. This is my first thought about where the teaser trailer image should have gone. Have it start there where it's like, oh, there's my device, she's dancing. And then all of a sudden she starts having weapons and hacking people apart and have this dream sequence end with seeing all these M3gans killing people, and end with the lead M3gan charging down at Allison Williams and delivering the killing blow, and then Allison Williams wakes up like, you know what I mean? Just have her wake up. This is her nightmare, the thing that she invented, going on a killing spree in multiples, and then have her go to a conference where she's trying to tell people, look, I made this thing 2 years ago. It got out of hand. We need to put safeguards. It's so important. And actually let her not perform in a generic way, because I felt like all this footage of her fighting for AI regulation, it's so generic. She seems like a generic politician or something. Have her say it with conviction, showing her experience, because it's like you have a heavy hitter on your hands. You know what she's capable of from Get Out, that she's an incredibly strong actress who can play levels and layers, and to have her play this kind of middle of the road, waspy, boring person, that's not even what she was playing in the first movie. She's playing kind of a hermit nerd who has to grow and become a parent. Well, now she's a parent. Well, now she's been through some horrific things. So let her character change, and just I got annoyed with her very nice long hair in the entire movie. I was like, why does she have exactly the same nice long hair in this whole movie? I feel like after having M3gan yank that hair and try to kill her, maybe she wants a different haircut. Maybe she wants to be a little bit more prepared for something bad happening. You know what I mean? There should be something different about her based on the experiences of the first movie. You know what I mean? And just start off with a horrific dream of what M3gan does to remind us of the terror of the first movie and her fear of the mass production of something that can be so out of control and is just going to kill people. And then you can go to introduce Amelia. And again, really give her an introduction that showcases what she can do. This is a simple movie. It's not Terminator 2 where we're trying to hide the reveal that this is liquid metal. We know it's M3gan, it's M3gan 2. We know the information was stolen. If you're going to introduce Amelia and she's not M3gan, it's not enough for her to just look like a human being, because then she could just be a human being. Like, let's introduce something distinct about her right up front. Like her launching her fists, or later on in the movie. Let's show that. Let's have that be something in her introduction. Show her doing something that also you're gonna have to make M3gan fight that aspect of her later in the movie. It doesn't make sense to only have it in the midway fight scene. So let's start off with that little hand doing something only the little hand can do. It's all about building up your character, giving your character a really good introduction. And I just didn't care for, oh, she looks human. They think they killed her, but she's not. She's not dead because she's a robot. Okay, all right, fine. But no, give her a really, if you're gonna go the simplistic, we know she's a bad guy route right from the beginning, then let's establish something small that's specific to her abilities, like her hand detaching and doing something. You know what I mean? And you don't have to have it be such straightforward, I'm pointing a gun type of action. You can build it up in a particular way that makes her abilities exciting and makes you wonder, wow, what else can she do? You know what I mean? So that when she shoots her hand later, oh yeah, she can shoot her hand, or she can detach her hand. I didn't know it could launch. I didn't know this could happen. And then the blade comes out. Whoa, she can do something else too. But have that blade, and then that's the next thing, right? Give her a stronger introduction, But maybe Amelia is duplicating herself. Maybe that's kind of the first thing she's doing. Give us a little Age of Ultron, something. But that's fine. You don't want to do any of that. You want to stick to this idea that somehow Amelia has the desire for 80s level technology, that somehow that's going to give her some kind of benefit. I don't buy it. I don't think that really works. I think that kind of just falls apart. I'm like, this technology is so dated. It's not going to just connect with your Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi didn't even exist back then. So, everything was Ethernet cable. So at the very least, if she wants this information or data, she's going to have to connect through an Ethernet port, which we know she doesn't have. So, and I'm sorry, that's like the most basic electronics knowledge that I know, but still, it's just, come on, get out of here. This makes no sense. It makes so little sense that it holds back the experience of watching the movie. Only little kids today are not going to have a clue that Wi-Fi didn't exist in 1984. So, and maybe that's their reason for doing it. But I was like, dude, this just, come on. You're running so far away. You're literally running away from M3gan 1 and trying to make Mission Impossible with robots or Spy Kids with robots. I don't know what you're doing. But I'd say when we get to the nerd convention where M3gan and Amelia meet for the first time, I don't need to see Amelia killing human beings. I want to see her fighting M3gan. And when M3gan does her dance, I think it should be, oh, I found Amelia. I see something odd. That's her. I'm going to go jump into action. Get M3gan immediately into the action. Don't have her somehow be 20 feet away and not a part of the action sequence immediately. I just thought that's so weird. So and then that beautiful set. I love that set when Amelia and M3gan finally confront for the first time, and we have this sort of hexagonal or whatever shape it is, but they're in this hallway of lights, which was amazing. I thought this moment is where you have the hand launching and the blade come out, have Amelia get some really good stabs on M3gan. This is where you show what Amelia is capable of in battle with M3gan. And you can still do everything else the same, but just let it be, this is the moment. I mean, if she can beat everyone else hand to hand, you don't even need the gags for that scene. You need the gags to showcase how different she is against M3gan, so that we can see how this fight's going to be interesting. So, and maybe one hand launches and the other hand does something different, but this is where you put that in. And beyond that, what I would say is the ending has got to land. You got to land the fish, man. So I think it's kind of weird and back and forth that there's this enormous setup for how the bad guy nerds are in somehow master control of Amelia. But it kind of seems like if you're in that much control, how is her core programming and not, don't kill people in this room? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I just don't think that worked. But either way, this is where you want to bring back all those fight skills that Amelia has that M3gan doesn't. And I just did not care for all these, like, paramilitary guards who were in these ridiculous, like, Fifth Element level armored outfits from, the cops of Fifth Element. You guys just look ridiculous. I don't believe you're even here. And what does this armor do? It doesn't actually stop you from being harmed in any way, shape, or form. So I think M3gan was underutilized. Although I love when she took over the Lamborghini. That was a fun sequence. But I just didn't feel this. I really feel like so many choices. Even M3gan doing the sky gliding or whatever you call it, where she has that sort of body parachute that helps you glide longer. I forget what that is called, but even there, I just thought this is so ridiculous. I'm I'm laughing, I'm having fun, but also I don't buy what I'm seeing. I'm like, this is so not necessary at all. You know what I mean? It's just happening to happen. Nothing is motivating it, and then you have the other guy, chloroforming a guard or chloroforming the tour guide, which I thought, okay, suddenly this is both Mission Impossible and Transformers 2 at the same time. I think there's a real missed opportunity for an epic final battle between Megan and Amelia that was lost because of this desire to give everyone an action scene at the end, but then that just disperses. And I don't understand, what is the point? What is the point of this exosuit being able to help you lift a massive block of concrete if you're not going to do that in order to fight maybe more Amelias? Again, bring in more robots. Like, what is the point of the threat being just another Megan? It should be more than that. It should be, she's produced more of herself against what everyone wanted. So she is taking control. She has multiple versions of herself. Have the dream that I came up with come true. And like, now there's multiple Amelias, and they all have the same ability. They're all sending each other fight data, and have everything set up about Gemma now fighting with the exosuit. Have that matter, have it really matter. So yeah, that's what I think. I really think this movie should have been done differently, and I think it just needed to be personal. Having it end with this sort of cheap Terminator 2 ripoff, where it's like, no, don't go, we can run away together, but clearly you can't run away together. It's like, that's not working. That's not working. It's got to be more personal than that. Have Allison Williams fighting some Amelias and winning because she's got an exosuit that can lift or crush hundreds of pounds of weight. Have that. Now, I don't care for these her versus human guards. Who cares? If the threat is the robot, stop abandoning the threat to make the threat other things. But yeah, so that's my thoughts, and I hope you got something out of this. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you liked my final cut ideas, how I think this movie should have been approached. I really do think it should have, at the very least, started off hard R, scary, and then slowly become this sort of Mission Impossible-esque movie where this existential threat is just getting more powerful. Instead of the way they did it, which was kind of a Mission Impossible versus Mission Impossible, where it's like, we have to get there before she does, over and over and over again. Just lots of repetition that I did not like or care for. So that's my thoughts on M3gan 2.0. Please let me know in the comments if you agree with my review, or if in fact you like the movie. I want to actually hear from people who like the movie. What's your favorite thing about the movie? Is there something you wish I brought up? And just feel free to geek out. Like, I of course I want respectful comments, and I'm not looking for trolls. But also, if you disagree with me and thought this movie rocked, please tell me why. Tell me what's your, and I'm not being ironic or anything. Tell me what was your favorite scene, or what's something that you felt made the whole thing work. Oh, and I want to get back to Katie real quick. Her morality programming, she should have put that into Megan when they built Megan. I really thought that's a wasted opportunity here. You have this character with an obvious skill, you're not using it. Instead of having Allison Williams again say the same dialogue on repeat in the same tone over and over and over again to Megan, let's have the building of Megan's body. Have Katie contribute and say, I'm putting morality in your system. And what is morality? And she's like, well, you have to figure that out. Like, you killed my friends. That's obviously not something that would make me happy, even though you perceived it as being part of my safety. So I need you to start having a moral sense of what to do. Actually have that conversation between Katie and Megan, so that you want to have that conversation, even though, again, that kind of copies Terminator 2 when John Connor is telling the Terminator, hey, You can't just go around killing people. Why? But you know have that conversation, even though that is a bit of a copy of Terminator. Have her skills of coding actually matter. I really feel like Katie is so integral to the first movie and Megan's development. And Megan, since she does have her memories, if Katie's an integral part of putting morality in there, which is set up earlier in the movie, then that's going to be huge in shaping how Megan thinks and how she behaves. I really feel like missed opportunity set up. Maybe they shot scenes for this, maybe they didn't, maybe they didn't work, or maybe they made the movie too long. But either way, that's where I really feel this movie should have been closer to the tone of the first movie, which is more serious and straightforward. And then that would make your Mission Impossible stuff better too, if even that stuff was serious and straightforward. And again, keep the conflict between the two robots. Like, there's no reason to have them just say awkward lines to each other like, we could be family, we could be friends. I've already got my family. It's just like, so what? I don't care. So that's my thoughts. Please let me know in the comments if you like the movie. If you like the movie exactly how it is, I would love to hear what you think. Tell me what your favorite scenes are. Let me know. What do you think of my suggested scenes, or what do you think of my critique? Do you agree with my critique? Um, and seriously, like, my real question to you is, if you were disappointed, what's the Megan movie that you feel should have been done? And any answers sounds good to me. I'm just curious what people think about this movie. All right, so that's my thoughts on the movie. I hope you liked it. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Nerds, dorks, and weirdos of the movie variety, mahalo and aloha.